Journalists within this industry have no idea what makes games good and why people don't end up liking them. They cry over Concord's failure, yet they also are complaining over Marvel's rival success. And now, funny enough, not really a shocker though, TheGamer is disparaging gamers and whines that Marvel's Rivals has too many playable characters. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, only gaming journos would complain that a game has too much variance, that, oh no, there are too many playable characters. That's like complaining that there are too many maps, or too many guns in a game, or too many spells and magic abilities. Like, it is insane to me that this is what they've found to complain about from the get-go. They've wanted to attack Marvel's Rivals because Concord was such an epic failure, and they have been damage controlling for Sony and for Firewalk, but it's not really working out for them because every single time they have a ridiculous take like this, they really only get roasted. So it says a recently published article by Jade King in TheGamer complains that Marvel's Rivals has too many playable characters. In an article titled Marvel's Rivals has too many heroes for its own good, they complain that matches are uncompetitive given players are not choosing characters that mesh well for competitive team play. King writes the lack of a role queue is one major omission, and it's already making effective team play an impossibility when playing with strangers unless you want to switch to a vanguard or strategist of your own accord and salvage an ailing match. You'll end up losing. Now, one of the glorious things about Marvel's Rivals is the fact that there is so much variance because there are so many different characters that can work together in so many sometimes surprising ways. Now, I am somebody who's been playing ranked. I'm in gold. I only really aimed for gold this season just to get the Moon Knight skin. I wasn't really going hardcore, or I'd be significantly higher in rank. And while I do typically play strategist, and that is my default, there are plenty of times that there are no problems finding other people who want to play strategists or want to play vanguards, but you also do not need a 2-2-2 setup. You don't need 2 strategists, 2 DPSs, and 2 tanks. Sometimes you play with 3 tanks, sometimes you play with 1 tank, and you're perfectly fine. It really just depends on the synergy of the players, not even really just their abilities. If you have somebody who is just spamming their abilities whenever they go up, that person is going to be a weak link on the team regardless of who they are playing. It just comes down to the mindset of players, and it's that way in every single game that you play competitively. Now, yes, if you are somebody who doesn't play a lot, it might be harder for you to learn the abilities that you are fighting back against, but to sit here and complain that a game has too much variance is just bonkers to me. I have never once complained, oh my god, even the Path of Exile 2 skill tree that people were initially complaining about, it's really simple to understand once you've taken a little bit of time. And yes, you can go in these wacky, wild directions and come up with crazy builds, but to sit there and complain that the developers gave you variance is crazy to me. They talk about how people will want to jump in and play as some of their favorite heroes without restrictions. They don't care about playing them well or trying to learn what their abilities do or the role they fulfill. The goal is to look and feel as cool as you can in the shortest amount of time possible, a power fantasy that sadly isn't possible in a game that demands mechanical knowledge like this one, and they even claim that will make players walk away immediately. They are just trying their hardest to trash this game. They can't attack it because of predatory microtransactions because this game doesn't have those. The only microtransactions it has are skins. You don't even have to buy any characters. All of them were unlocked at release. All of the maps were unlocked at release. Like, they are just trying to find any way they can to attack this game, and Based on current evidence, this doesn't seem to be the case at all because the all time peak was at launch 1 month ago at 480,000 players, but the 24-hour peak was 415, so it still got really close. And at the time of this screenshot, which I'm assuming was later in the night, was 207,000 players. That is a great number for a game to uphold. Nevertheless, though, they claim that the game has too many playable characters and that she is overwhelmed by the number of characters, which is fine. Maybe you are a little bit confused on these characters, but don't go into an article trashing other people and saying this game is dog shit because you don't know how to sit down and really learn characters. In the lead up to its full launch, more additions were confirmed for the roster, making it hard to determine who I'd main and if I would even have enough time to learn all of their ins and outs before release. You don't have to main a character. That's not some like legal requirement to play a game like this. You can have 3 or 4 or 5 characters that you kind of rotate through. I mean, this really seems like only a journalist problem here. There is less potential for future editions, and some of its biggest names can't be capitalized on because they've been here the entire time. For Rivals, it feels like we were already having to temper our expectations after NetEase jumped the gun on A-listers. And finally, they concluded, I could be proven wrong, but right now I'm not very excited about new heroes to come to Marvel's Rivals because we are already dealing with an excessive roster, and there are dozens and dozens of characters that they could add to this game. But funny enough, just a few weeks ago, TheGamer was complaining about Concord. Now, they are not from the same authors, but as I always say, these people still represent one company. They still represent one outlet, and while they may have differing opinions, ultimately, if you have a piece that praises Concord and you have a piece that attacks Marvel's Rivals, it still represents everyone's work. It's just kind of a group effort. And so I think that it is only fair to sit here and compare the stances that TheGamer has. And this author said Concord deserved a second chance, but we didn't give it a first. Complaining that gamers didn't end up giving Concord a fair shot, which is just so clown world, in my opinion. They are complaining when a game succeeds. They're crying and complaining when a game fails. This really just highlights the disconnect, again, between gamers and gaming journalists. And I had put up this thread, and tons of people are roasting them. It's a concerted effort to stop Marvel's Rivals' success. If you look it up, the mainstream all have this topic in coordinated fashion like usual. Yeah, it is unfortunate because this game is really fun, and sure, you can sit here and complain about NetEase, you can criticize NetEase, you can hate NetEase and refuse to play this game. I 100% would understand that because NetEase is not a great company. At the end of the day, they are a CCP entity, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like they haven't given us amazing character designs and great character variance and ability variance and really good maps, and it doesn't have predatory microtransactions. And I've been playing the game because the game itself is really good. But people are talking about how the first pick shows Journo is confused, afraid of game options. The second pick, Journo misses ugly, boring characters. New year, but same trash from Game Journos. TheGamer, by the modern gamer, for the modern gamer. And the thing is, we want games to succeed. They're just mad when it's not their game that does. We tell them how to make it better and it falls on deaf ears, or they resort to name calling, which is totally and completely true. I want every single game to come out and be a smashing success. I don't want Kill the Justice Leagues and Flintlock the Sieges of Dawns and Dustborns and Concords to spend a bunch of money and waste a bunch of money because they've created trash. I want games to come out and have an audience, and I want them to be really fun, even if they're not always for me. That's totally and completely okay. But they continue to focus on DEI initiatives. They continue to focus on bad storytelling. They're hiring activists who are not talented developers for these projects. And it's so sad to see because, yes, we are the ones who are attacked when they do not do their job properly. It's not my job to make a video game for everybody. It's not my job to sit here and make a story that's going to resonate with people. It's your job. And if you are bad at your job, you probably shouldn't have that job and you should leave the industry to make way for people who are genuinely talented. And these projects can totally exist. I say this all the time, but while they are allowed to exist, I am allowed to criticize them and say that they are bad. And Concord was a terrible fucking game. It deserved to die in the 2 weeks that it had. And Marvel's Rivals is superior in every way, shape, and form. So I will be keeping my eye on the gamer to see if they complain about anything else, if they continue to release hit pieces on Marvel's Rivals, but it wouldn't be shocking. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.